Today I'm going to give a presentation on how Doormen can be used to treat urinary incontinence. So how can Doormen be used to treat urinary incontinence? Well, let's first just have a little think about what does a doorman or a bouncer have in common with an ion channel? Well, thinking about the roles that both of these have, they can both be selective about what they let through. So just like a bouncer can stop you from entering if you don't have any ID or you don't have the correct footwear or perhaps just doesn't like the look of you, then so too do ion channels have the ability to recognise specific characteristics that must be met in order to gain entry. So, however, just like bouncers, sometimes ion channels can be unreasonable. And this can result in the development of a number of diseases, including asthma, cancer, cystic fibrosis, and the focus of this talk, urinary incontinence. So urinary incontinence is any unintentional loss of urine, and it can be subdivided into two groups. This is urge incontinence, and the focus of this talk will be on stress urinary incontinence. And this can result from any abrupt increase in intra-abdominal pressure, such as laughing, coughing, or sneezing. But in order to treat stress urinary incontinence, we first must get to the bottom of what is causing it. So this funny-looking graph is the result of tiny charged molecules that are present within the cell called ions. And as these ions move in and out of the cell, this results in changes to the cell's unique electrical signature. But there are literally hundreds of types of ion channels present on the cell membrane. And so what we first needed to do was narrow it down to a specific family of ion channels. And what we found was by adding a chloride channel inhibitor, or a drug that specifically blocks just one type of chloride ion channels, that the flow of these ions was significantly reduced. Therefore, we can say that chloride ions are at least in part responsible for the development of stress urinary incontinence. And so then, just to give you an idea of how we record these currents, what we have is we isolate single urethra cells, and to these cells we place a glass pipette. Contained within the glass pipette is an electrode, and this electrode is ultra-sensitive, and it is capable of recording absolutely tiny changes in any of the cell's electrical activity. So next we have a schematic of how stress urinary incontinence presents itself within the cell. So here the chloride channel remains in the closed position, and this prevents the flow of chloride ions from leaving the cell. And this is not what we want. We want the ions to be able to leave the cell. So what my research has the potential to lead to is the development of a drug that is capable of opening these closed channels. So in essence, we're going to bribe the bouncer to let us pass through. So this will result in the channel opening and allowing the ions to flow out of the cell, thereby maintaining continence and preventing any unwanted leakage of urine. So finally, I'd just like to thank you all for your attention, and hopefully now you can see how you can use Doormen to treat urinary incontinence.